Hello, this is Paul from RankQuiz, and the video is on the content relevancy stacking or how to rank in 2016 and beyond. Content is by far my favorite topic in modern SEO, and by coincidence is less covered area in most of SEO courses, training, how-tos, and so on. Usually they cover all in details on-site SEO, off-site link building, social signals, PBNs, or like and so on and so on. But when it comes to content, they either like there is a generic advice to use some kind of content generators, or for those who are really shy to admit that they use content generators, they suggest to go after quote unquote manual articles, assuming that these are of the high quality content by compared to the generated content. Modern SEO, and I'm sure you've heard this times and times over again, that modern SEO is all about authority and relevance. Domain authority, page authority, overall authority of the pages or sites where your links are coming from, and the relevance of the content where you have links from to the niche or to the topic of your site. I named this video content relevancy stacking, of course, going after the term that got popular like some times ago, maybe a year or 2 years ago, domain authority stacking. That it's kind of cool name over the concept of the quality multi-tier link building. So without stealing the thunder, so the quick idea of the domain authority stacking is that let's say you have your main site and you have sites where you have links from, and let's say there is some value like aggregated value that's called authority, and for our purpose it will be from 10 down to -10. So 10 would be the maximum authority of the page, and -10 will be minimum. And the negative authority is reality. The link can benefit your site, link can damage your site. So the idea is that the aggregated, and I said aggregated because it's complex metrics, but somehow that is quantifiable. And if let's say if it's -10 to 10, let's say you have a link from authority site with the authority 5, 7, and 10, and your authority of your site benefits from in proportion to authority of the sites where you have links from. And moreover, if your tier 1 has a backlink from so-called second tier, it also will benefit in the same proportion from the authority links, and or will be damaged by the negative authority links if you send some low quality links. So basically, the strategy of building authority of your main site is shifted to down to your first tier, second tier, and as the more you build authority of your sites where you have links from, the more your main site benefits from it without direct affecting your site, and therefore putting it at risk. And I changed this to represent authority -10. This is low quality spammy site, and of course it will change the authority of your tier 1. So like not in direct proportion, but you have a combination of link on here, so you lower the authority of your tier 1, and as a result you propagate this decreased authority to your main site. Now back to this video, and on the topic of content relevancy, specifically of content relevancy stacking. So before we go into the details, let's cover the briefly history of content relevancy. So when Google created the first implementation of the algorithm, and of course when I refer to anyway simple implementation, it wasn't simple from the very beginning. It was extremely complex, but it get more complex times and times more intelligent over time. The original idea was to rank the page based on the aggregated and weighted references from the net. So basically what we called links, like they are called links, and they create the database of anchors links are pointing to the site, put a weight on it, and it was aggregated weight. So let's say page rank or like title and a lot of other parameters. They put a weight, then they group it by the anchor text, and this is how they decide what page should be ranked for dog training. The Panda update was targeted on-site SEO, and it was the idea was to eliminate the thin content sites. There were a lot of 1-2 pages sites, so-called AdSense sites, filling like first and second page of any commercial search term, and there are a lot of sites that were irrelevant to the search query, again because Google was ranking primarily based on the links coming to the site, not based on the content of the site itself. With the Penguin was targeting off-site SEO and was just what's called cleaning link schemes. And this is where Google introduced the idea of the context. So link should stop considering link itself coming from the page, but they start considering it in the context, the surrounding text. This is why they bare links like footer links, sidebar links stopped working, and they start checking that anchor text, let's say dog training, is somewhat related to the content that the link is placed into. So basically the content should be on somewhat dog related and not automotive or aviation. The Hummingbird update introduced the idea of a knowledge graph, and so this is where the Google started creating relationship. They created a database of relationship between terms to interpret context. So basically, they now, like, instead of creating index for every new search that they see, that this is how that worked before. So they now start interpreting incoming search and see that if there's an existing index that's close to the term but similar by intent, and so they start aggregating indexes and show the results based on the knowledge graph. So if we split the history of link building, and the first stage was all based on the anchor text. So there is a page, this is your site, this is the page where you get a link from, and there's an anchor text. They would create a database of anchors. It will be so yoga classes in Toronto in this case. They will add a weight, they will add more of this, they will aggregate in group, and if there are 200,000 keywords anchors coming for yoga class in Toronto to the specific page, that with the high likelihood this page will be considered to be most authority when it comes to creating the ranking and showing the search results. This is post Panda, post Penguin updates when it become critical to place your links in the context of the somewhat related content. It should be yoga related content, at least it should be health and fitness or somewhat related content, but overall it was working pretty much the same. So Google will create the database of anchors, more of them, will put a weight on them, exactly the same weight as before. Of course the weight parameters were changing over time, but there was another parameter. Let's consider this as a database and this is a context. So now they know that this is anchors yoga classes in Toronto, and they somewhat can determine the context of the content, and they can score how much this link and the anchor is relevant to the context. And let's say they put a value on this. Let's say if it's auto insurance content, the context will be 0. And again, so I'm exaggerating, oversimplifying. Let's say 0. And if it's coming from another yoga site, it might be 100. In the last diagram, the current state of this of the offsite SEO or link building, Google less and less pays attention to the anchor text itself. They start using term of mention. Mention could be a link, of course, it's primarily link, but it could be a text where they have a brand mentioned or URL mentioned. They pay less attention to no follow because in the scope of mention it doesn't really matter. So there's no such thing any longer, like less and less thing as so-called link juice. So link still is very important because this is fact of the reference to the page, but more and more they use content to tell what exactly the reference of the page pointing to your site. So let's say eventually they will stop using anchor text. So it might be will be long time, but they definitely there's a going trend of reducing the value of anchor text and increasing the value of the content. By the way, in the recent podcast, Josh Bakinski, which is a tremendous source of information, insider information from Google, mentioned that in one of the podcasts, they said that if they put an aggregated value on the content and link, so the content will be relevant content will be 5 and link will be 2. As I said, once again, if you're serious about SEO, you should listen to Josh YouTube videos. So this is a trend, and now so we have a reference and we have reference topic based on the content. So content pretty much with no effect from the anchor text. If I want to rank my content page for yoga classes in Toronto, I have no choice but make sure that I create more targeted content. Yoga content, health content doesn't work any longer. So I need to create enough references from the content that will Google interpret it into the yoga classes in Toronto. So when they put aggregation of those references, they'll decide so that page is referenced enough from the content on the relevant on the topic yoga classes in Toronto, so that will decide to rank it high for this specific term. This is the biggest change in the content strategy, and it was relevant last year, and I created multiple videos, but still every time I see question over and over again. So how to use spoon content, how to use rewriters, how to create the content always considered the last, and the only criteria is considered to be making content is unique. Unique is not really relevant criteria. So you can rank duplicate content, aggregated content, but if your content, again, so I repeat, if your content is irrelevant to the term you're trying to promote your page, so you're wasting your effort. So if it is health, generic health article, so the best you could expect to consider this reference as a health, like as in the past you would have health anchor text. So, and of course will not add much to your strategy of promoting this page for the yoga classes in Toronto. So link building evolution, over time, the summary of the diagram I showed before is pre-2012. The mantra was link is a link. So you create as many links as possible with the targeted anchor, and the more you create, the better you rank. And it was a time for the mass bulk link building tools. 2012 to 2015, the main strategy was targeted anchor text and relevant content. Targeted, and that's why you can find dozens and dozens of different tutorials, and they still coming out a new one with the proper quote-unquote distribution of the anchor texts. Why? Because the over optimization penalty is real. So if you use too many of the your specific anchor text you want to rank for, you're going to be penalized if you don't use enough. So you're not going to be ranked for this because your content is relevant, but it's not specific. Let's say again, as in my example, if you get some article on the generic, like 10 generic articles on yoga, you just spin them and use it over and over again. So then you only bet so that like 20% of the anchor text you use with the specific anchors will help you to rank for the specific term of let's say Toronto yoga classes in Toronto. So from now on, less and less anchor text is relevant, and it is you can rank based on you will be ranking based on the specifically targeted content again, so that spoon articles are not going to work. The quote unquote manual articles, which is kind of manual spinning, manual rewriting, which is kind of pretty decent when you read it through. But again, so it's a very generic topic, and you would be hard to expect to rank for the specific term. Let's say if you go like after yoga classes in Toronto specifically. So you need to create the content that targeted this specific content. Our goal as an link builders is to create content that will suggest Google that this page is so your page is referenced from the specific topic you want it to be. So if you get a new client as a chiropractor in Richmond Hill, so you want to create you start creating the content for them. Let's say acupuncture in Richmond Hill. So you want to create reference pages with the very targeted content. So then Google extract the topic without help of the anchor text and use it to rank your pages higher for the specific topic. And finally, we come to the content relevancy stacking, and a similar concept with the domain authority stacking. If you want your content to be ranked for benefits of yoga for low back pain, you need to create the content, you need to create references, mentions, if you will, or link if you use the old term, from the content that Google will interpret as benefits of yoga for low back pain. So you create links, you create a content on the topic of benefits of yoga for low back pain. Of course, it's not the same article, but should be clear so that it's just somewhat related to low back pain. It should be related to yoga and the benefit of combining them together. Not only you do it for the first year, but you will stack relevancy and thus stack benefits and multiply the benefits if you create as many as possible tiers when you stack the content of the same topic one another. And it's more complex than domain authority stacking, because domain authority stacking usually goes based on the domain, while if you have, let's say, 100 keywords, so this diagram goes 100 times. Let's say if you have another keyword that it will be Ashtanga yoga in Toronto. So you would have to reproduce exact same concept structure, but the topic of the content becomes a new anchor text. This is how you rank. This is how you stack. How you benefit from using laser targeted content to the promote of your pages for the specific for desired term. And now toward implementation. The idea, the implementation of the content relevancy stacking is that second tier articles that will be linked to the higher tier article will be created from exact same topics, and therefore will be highly relevant to each other. In Run Quiz, when you create a content bucket and specify topics, let's say Toronto Dentist, Toronto Dental Care, Toronto Dental Clinic, Toronto Orthodontist, and so on. So content mill will create articles specifically on the topic. When you create two-tier submission, let's say you have a network, so if you have a tier 1 network and you created submission that will be posting this content, Toronto Dentist, and then you have a tier 2 network that will be automatically backlink tier 1 content. Once the article is created on the topic, let's say Toronto Dentist, low tier, if they use exact same content bucket, will be created on the same topic of Toronto Dentist. Rank quiz guarantees that if you use two-tier submission and you use the same content bucket of the content, that the second tier topic will be exactly the same as third tier topic. In other words, this is a project and this is a tier 2, like I didn't call it tier 1, that's tier 2, and they automatically backlinked on tier 3 using the same content mill. If you look at the content mill, we have topics, two topic lists, one on the different diets, vegan diet, protein diet, and low carb diet. Another like a modifiers, weight loss, recipes, cookbook, and diabetes. I look at the content as created. You can see that, let's say, the first article was created from two topics, paleo diet and a cookbook. You can see there's a paleo diet, there's a cookbook. So paleo diet images, news, paleo diet food list, there's a cookbook. And that would be cabbage soup diet, weight loss. You can see at the top that topics were cabbage soup diet and the weight loss. This is a tier 2 submission that receives links from tier 1. And if I go to URLs, you can see that tier 1 URL has a topic of weight loss and protein diet. So when system creates the second tier article that will use exact same topics, so protein diet, weight loss, and it links to the protein diet, weight loss protein diet on the higher tier. So this is backlinking the tier 1, protein diet, weight loss. And this is how you implement a content relevancy stacking approach using rank quiz. In fact, this is a case study and it's only running for like 2 days. It's too early to show, but there are 3 networks. One is using article builder content, another one spoon content, and another one topic relevant content created by rank quiz. And the idea to see that how different indexing rate is per different type of content. As I said, it's only 2 days. 2 days in. It's too early to say. Article builder and spoon content backlink on the shared networks. Specialized content, which is diet content I showed, backlinked on the tier 3 network. So basically to create a topic relevancy. So if I look at different submissions, different networks, article builder, in 2 days out of 200 blogs, I have 69 indexed URLs, 6,000 posts in total. Spoon articles, that's diet articles, spoon 25 indexed pages. And specialized or topic relevant content, 102 URLs in 2 days out of 200 blogs. 2 days, 200 blocks, 102 indexed URLs, which has nothing to do with the main concern of most of the users who want unique content, as unique as possible, as spoon as possible. So it's created with run quiz, using news snippets, using video snippets, but as targeted as possible, and therefore have higher chance to be indexed. So that's the summary of the idea of the content relevancy stacking, and I believe that this is the way to go moving forward in link building. So when the anchor becomes less and less important, and the topics, a very narrow topic of the page, will be defining the factor for how Google will rank your sites or pages. Thank you for watching, and thank you for using RankQuiz.